Okay.
He is not feeling well today.
We're live, huh? All right.
Are you able to hear me?
Hello.
Hi.
Really low, Lauren.
What was that?
Very quiet.
Okay, I'll try to speak up as much as I can.
Okay, it's 4:30, and everybody welcome to the Board of Directors regular scheduled meeting for the Indian Wells Valley Water District. I will go ahead and open the session at 4:30. Call to order, and for the Pledge of Allegiance, welcome back, Mal. Would you please do the pledge?
Place your hand over your heart and speak after this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In a nation that woke up this week.
That's right. Thank you, Mal. Roll call, please.
President Kaczynski,
Here.
Vice President Saint Amon,
Present.
Director Boyd,
Here.
Director Griffin,
Here.
Director Ratora.
Dan, for you.
Here. Okay, she's still a little hard to hear there, Jason.
Doing the best we can.
Okay, posting of the agenda declaration, please.
The agenda for today's special board meeting was posted on Thursday, November 7th, 2024.
Okay, thank you. Conflict of interest declarations?
President Kaczynski,
None.
Vice President Saint Amon,
None.
Director Griffin,
None.
Director Boyd,
None from Boyd.
Director Ratora.
There we go.
None. All right.
Now we can hear you.
Well done there. Exactly. Okay, with that, we'll move on to public questions and comments for the closed session. I take it, I see no public here. Anybody on the line? Nobody? So with that, I will go ahead and adjourn to closed session at 4:32. Yeah. Oh, here comes the lawyer. We can't start without the lawyer. Okay.
Our Cowboys are not good.
All right. We came out of closed session at 5:55, and we're going to go ahead and open up business in our current open session at 6:02. So with that, Jim, do you have anything to announce from closed session?
The board met in closed session on the items in the agenda and no action was taken.
Thank you. With that, I'll open up this portion for public questions and comments. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on the agenda and over which the board has jurisdiction. However, no action may be taken by the board of directors on any item not appearing on the agenda. Non-agenda speakers are asked to limit their presentation to 5 minutes. Public questions and comments on items listed on the agenda will be accepted at any time the item is brought forth for consideration by the board. So with that, do I have any public comment? Seeing none, no, I'm sorry, Mike. Uh-oh. He's turning it, yeah. There you go.
Okay, it is working now. Okay, once again, Mike Neal. I don't actually ever recall doing this at any public agency meeting after an election, but I would like to say that I'm pleased to see the exact same board makeup after the election here in the Indian Wells Valley Water District. I think you guys have done a bang-up job for the last few years, either 2 or 4, whatever the case may be. I'm glad to see be able to continue on and keep up the good work. You have, I think, very well tried to protect the financial interests of the water users in this valley with your opposition to the pipeline and bringing forth the water basin data and so forth to support that instead of just, say, well, we just don't support it. You've got good basis for not supporting it. GA, as I recall, a little bit, I know they just basically haven't responded on that, which is to be expected. Outside of that, this is probably an idea that's already been thought up and tried before in other areas, but I've thought from time to time about how to capture rainwater when that does actually occur around here, especially after one time we had a good rain and I sat down and tried to estimate the amount of rainwater across the valley with 1 inch of water. I think I came up with 80,000 acre feet or something. That's probably not super accurate, but I don't think it's real far off. If there's a way to fold in to what you're going to be looking at in the meantime anyway about whether you're going to inject or percolate water into the basin from the recycled water, maybe you could at the same time look at the areas where, we're all familiar, we've lived out here, where all the washes are, where most of the water funnels down. If there are good places to kind of put wells, holes in the ground that are covered up for safety's sake, to let the water not just wash on down the wash and go out to Mirror Lake, wherever it ends up, but catch it and get it down into the aquifer better than what most people claim. Mr. Decker claims it just goes down to the clay layer and then evaporates, and we get no advantage from it. Well, if we could get advantage from rainwater, that'd just be one more incremental step towards getting better recharge into the valley.
Thank you, Mike. I take it we have a call on hold for comment. Caller, are
Yes.
you? Yes.
Hello, this is Renee Westalusk. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I want to know if the water district wasn't in this adjudication, would the rate study have had to be increased? Because it seems to me this adjudication is draining a lot of money out of the water district.
I don't believe we can make any comment on that because it's not on the agenda at this time. Or is it, Jim? Can we address that at all? I don't believe so.
How do I find out?
You can address very quickly, but you just can't engage in a discussion with her. If you've got a really short answer on, you can give it to her.
What is it you want to find out?
Why if we weren't doing, if the water district was not in this
I can address
adjudication,
that.
would you have had to do the rate study increase that you just approved at the last board meeting?
The answer is yes,
Yes.
because we've had an extended period of exceptional
Conservation.
well, with conservation, we have conservation, people are decreasing the amount of water that they're using. We had an extended period of incredible inflation, which has been reported variously as 9%, which means it's probably closer to 18. So those have played heavily into our decision to open up 218.
Thank you, David. Any other comments or questions? Is that okay, Renee? The answer is yes, and I was going to say the same thing. Cost of everything we're doing here is increased exponentially over the last few years, especially the last 4 years. That was the main reason for it.
Okay, thank
I-
you for the answer.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the
I
question.
think that's sort of talking around the adjudication was for two reasons. One is it's the only way we're going to get the Navy involved, and the Navy, we had to get the Navy involved. And second of all, we need certainty in what we're doing. We can't keep going on not knowing how much water we have. So the adjudication is a fact of life. And worrying about what would or would not happen without the adjudication just isn't all that important.
Thank you, Stan. Any other callers or comments from the public? Okay, with that, I'll close the public questions and comments portion. I'll move on to current business and committee reports. The first item, 9A, consent calendar, approval of the board meeting minutes and accounts payable disbursements, approval of minutes from October 15th regular meeting and October 21st special board meeting, and then also the approval of the accounts payable disbursements. And just to let you know, the committee has agreed to the accounts payable disbursements. So with that, I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Is there any comments from the board? I'm sorry, from the public or on the calls? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Oh, look, it worked real fast. All right, consent calendar, the motion passes unanimously. Excuse me. Item 9B, request from front office closure, for front office closure. Staff requests for the front office to be closed December 30th and 31st. Employees may use vacation on these days. Could someone please explain the reasoning?
Can we go to the next slide? I got a calendar, hopefully. Okay, so you see the calendar at the bottom. This is December. You'll see Christmas is on the 25th, 26th. The dates in question are the proposed closure dates on that Monday and Tuesday. We're not going to close the water district entirely. We're just going to close the front office. What this is going to do is we're going to allow our employees to take any accrued vacation they have without being worried about lack of coverage in one area or another. So the water district itself will be open on those days. We'll be working on those days. However, we'd like the board to authorize us to close the front doors and tell the public that we're not going to be here to allow some of our people to maybe take some extended vacation by only taking a few days of leave during the holidays. I believe this is similar to something the city does. Is that correct?
They have in the past.
I started looking at this, and I'm not saying I have a problem with it yet, but when you look at this, basically, you're closed on the 20th, you're closed on the 21st, the 22nd, okay? And then the 23rd and 24th, you're open, correct? Okay, but you're closed the 25th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 30th, 31st, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, right? Yeah, that's what, so it's all of it. So I don't have a problem with, I'm just worried about the portion being closed is the one open to the public for bill paying and questions and things like that. How are you going to handle that?
If people decide to work, would they still be available to answer phones and
Yeah.
do stuff on the 20?
That'd still be available.
So we would probably still have phone service as long as not everybody in customer service took off in that time. So I believe we'd probably have someone here around still to answer phones.
Plus, we have express bill pay, which I think is working excellent for giving options for payments.
And it's
And the Dropbox out front.
right in the Dropbox out front. Just, it's funny that I was out there, I don't know what I was doing out there one day. I think I was spying on you. No, I was a meeting or something. I saw someone come in and you were closed. And they come up to the front door and go, "Hey, I can't believe they're closed." And you were closed when you're supposed to be, but I just saw some reaction to being closed. It's just, I'm concerned, we are a public agency. We have to be available to the public. And that's only my concern. We're talking 2 days. And you also said, if the people take off those days, they're gonna be using any accrued vacation time or whatever they want to use. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's all my only comments.
And we're still gonna be able to respond to any emergency.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean,
Absolutely. We'll still have people on
no matter
call.
what, we're always gonna respond to emergencies, right?
Correct.
So we're not leaving people in the lurch.
So what happens if the front office people decide they don't want to take a vacation
They come to work and get paid. They answer the phone.
and answer the phone, but the doors aren't?
Oh, you're still going to close the doors?
Yes.
Okay,
Because we don't know if,
okay.
we don't know
If
who
you
we're.
worked on basis, it'd be called a 2 for 12.
Is that called?
Yeah, 2 for 12.
Okay. Chuck, you have anything to say?
No, I don't see a problem doing it. I think it's a good idea.
I'm of the same view. I think it would be a nice, well, I would call it a present, but it is close to Christmas. I think it's a good statement from the board. Those days tend to be very low volume anyway.
Yeah.
On base at the city, maybe not the merchants in town, but I'm guessing it would inconvenience very few people. So I don't think it's a real big problem. I think we'll get more positive out of it.
Yeah, and it gives the staff and all the employees here a chance to, if they have family here, they want to go visit family, they don't have to rush back for 2 days and whatever. So I'm not saying I disagree with it. I just want to bring up all those points so we discuss them.
Okay.
So do we need a formal vote on this, Jim, or can we just approve?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed close dates.
Okay, I'll second that.
thank you. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Not on mine, you won't.
Are you-
That apply for the board as well?
Did your big fingers get in the way?
I didn't touch it.
Those-
There we go. I got it.
There's big old sausage fingers got in the way.
Zooming around.
All right, it passes unanimously,
Zoom
5
in on it.
yeses. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority report and discussion regarding the October 9th meeting. And obviously, we have another scheduled meeting tomorrow. Chuck, do you have anything you want to say about that?
No, it was just a general meeting.
Okay, yeah.
It-
Yeah, it was fun.
Can we go,
I don't know if it was fun, but
yeah, can we go back a slide? We had a couple just quick notes if anybody wanted, the board members. Not a lot that came out of the finance committee, plant and equipment. We talked about solar facility security, the fact that we've had a number of incidents where copper's been stolen. And so there was just discussion. I wanted all the board members to be aware that we've suffered a number of thefts of copper, taken out a bunch of our solar. We're looking at proposed security solutions. Jason, if you have anything extra you want to add to that, just so all the board members are up to speed on this significant issue, I believe.
We've looked at electrified fencing. We've looked at mobile camera solutions, both rental and built. And at this point in time, we are going to be renting a mobile security system that has cameras and audio and alarms, and will notify us and see how effective that is, and we'll make our decision from there.
So just something I wanted all the board members to hear. It's an unfortunate thing. And then admin exec, there was nothing significant to report, but in water management, we did spend some time talking about, as we move forward, as everybody knows, the GA has sort of tossed the recycled water project our way, in sort of comments they made in their meeting. We have generally thought we might accept that project. We're looking at it. We're moving forward, getting some of our consultants to get expertise and cost estimates together to be presented to the board as some sort of pilot study projects to determine whether we think if recycled water happened, we could do injection or percolation or a combination of both. So that's that's becoming more real. There's certainly some significant steps. The city currently has an agreement, I believe, with the Navy and the Groundwater Authority for the rights to the water coming off the wastewater treatment plant. There would be a process before we could do anything where we would need to secure the rights to that. And other people might want to try to secure the rights. We think we would probably be the only ones really interested. And then, a lengthy process of looking at cost and looking at what happens in the adjudication. And if that becomes part of one of the right projects to do, we've always perceived that as low-hanging fruit, something that needs to be done. So we're starting to take the steps now that we're done with what I'll call the hard science in the adjudication with the water and storage and the safe yield. And now we're going to move on to looking at what projects might be feasible. And that would include, capturing water from LADWP overflows or stormwater and, figuring out how to get water into the basin is going to be a key component of the initial part of the study.
And, when you brought this up, I sort of got caught off guard with it but you're doing something here that I think is necessary. And if the board would agree, I don't see any reason that after we do the consent calendar, that B can actually become this, where you do a brief report on the committees, whether anything was done or not. And because we've never really talked about the committees. We always have them, but we never give reports on the committees. So I like what you did here. If the board wouldn't mind, I think that could become a permanent part of our agenda after consent calendar and go over them. Do we agree that we don't have to take a vote on it? Let's just start doing it. I like what you did here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's always.
And I want the
important.
public, I want to be transparent. The public knows what we're talking
Should
about.
be a separate agenda item.
Yeah.
So we'll add it to the agenda.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, back to the Groundwater Authority. You were hawing around, Chuck, about the good time you had.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a call holding. Hey, hang on, we have a call holding.
Okay.
Okay. Caller, are you there?
Yes,
Okay.
can you hear me? This is Renee Westerlusk. I want to know about the part of the plant and equipment report under the Northwest Transmission Line that says tie-ins and grading of right-of-way to be completed by something Thanksgiving. What's a tie-in, and does this mean the whole thing's going to be ready to start being used by January?
Renee, that is item F3. So we'll be getting to that.
Okay, but Mr. Kroll jumped to plant and equipment and brought up the,
Yeah, so we would have covered that, and we did cover that in our plant and equipment, and we will cover it again later in this meeting. So I just brought up the solar thing because it wasn't covered elsewhere in the agenda.
okay.
Thank you. All right, now you still get your chance, Chuck. I'm not letting you off the hook. Oh, no, we have one more. Okay.
Yeah, it's Mike Newland. I don't know if this number is sitting on the top of anybody's brain cells or not, but seems I recall in past meetings that it was stated the cost to produce water to the users through the system was about $2,000 an acre foot. Comparing that to with numbers that I've heard, and this is obviously, it could be whoever you listen to at the time, but producing recycled water is about that same cost. Does anybody, you guys know what I'm talking about?
I
do.
What the number is?
Well, hang on. First of all, since this wasn't an agenda item,
Oh, was it?
okay, and it was just brought up under this slide that George brought up. And I would make sure that this is, if it's going to be on here as a separate agenda item, so that all the public has a chance to look at and decide if they want to come and talk about it. So I don't want to get into a discussion much about recycled water. Can I move ahead with that?
I think if I hear Mr. Neal asking, what is the cost to produce an acre foot of water from the district's facilities,
Yeah.
irrespective, I think that's just a number. If somebody's got that, I don't have a problem.
Oh, you're talking about the general, not just recycled water. You're talking about just the water from the
That could be
district.
covered under
What you're
water
doing
per
right
day.
now, the cost of it.
His ultimate question is the cost of, how does the cost of recycled water compare to the cost of producing water from a well?
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
Yep.
I'll just state the following. We've looked at the Groundwater Authority's report, which in the formal Title 16 study had a range of $900 per acre foot up to about $3,000 an acre foot, depending upon the way it was done. They've changed those numbers somewhat. And we believe that we're gonna, what we're looking at is trying to figure out how we would do it if it were our project and what our cost would be, and we can't say what that is at this time.
Jim?
His question, I believe, is how much does it cost the district to deliver an acre foot of water?
That was question one.
And I don't think it's 2,000,
Oh,
No.
but I know it was provided at one time, Mr.
If
Neal.
you took our budget and divided by the amount of water we produce, it's about
Right.
a little over 2,000.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks.
All right, I'm still not gonna let you off the hook, Chuck. I hope we get there. Okay.
Okay, well, I do have an update. There is no meeting tomorrow. It just got canceled, so it'll be rescheduled for next week due to a lack of a quorum. I just received a text from April.
Okay,
The meeting would be canceled tomorrow, so everybody's aware. So,
okay.
they will reschedule it next week, but it was due to a quorum issue. Last month, we met on October 9th. The biggest thing I think that we did that was good was the Rademacher. We had an agreement signed on that to do the consolidation with Rademacher. So the water district will be working to install that. I don't know what our start date is, or if maybe Renee could update us on that.
I think,
It's on the agenda, but I'll just say,
no, that's,
probably after the first of the year.
Oh, okay, so that's coming. There was also a periodic evaluation of the groundwater model update, the water resources manager report. It was pretty quick meeting really for a GA meeting. They did do a recap on wastewater again.
yeah, I did.
So, and I just want to see the district have a chance to look at it and see if we can do something feasible. I believe we can, and we can do something with that water for this valley to benefit it. And I hope that we get the chance to work with the city and work out an agreement to where we can make something happen.
So I have a couple questions concerning their newest agenda, which is obviously delayed until next week, right? And as our representative, I don't know if you're going to get a discussion about it or not, but I think I've voiced this concern before that there's two reimbursements to the city of $250,000 each for a total of $500,000 that specifically says it's for legal. I believe the facility that they use and the technical people, which I know is a separate $300 bill a month, I think $325. In fact, there's agreement in that package for that. So my question would be to them is, why is the city being reimbursed all their legal expenses when all three major entities of the GA, which is the county, the city, and the water district, all signed agreements saying that any legal fees are in kind dealing with, so why is it the city's getting paid? And essentially, since they're being paid on a replenishment fee, and company, we're paying them. So I don't know how you want to, I'm going to leave that.
I've seen that on there, and I will definitely ask that question.
And the other
try to
question,
get an answer.
can someone give me an answer, is how much money is sitting in the replenishment account
Available funds.
that is available funds that is there to buy water? How much is currently sitting there? Not that they borrowed here, moved here, and it's going to be paid back, what's currently there, if you can.
Okay, I can ask
Okay.
those questions. And also, last month, I did also ask, so the board's aware, if they would consider changing the way the meetings are held.
Right.
Currently, they start at 10 o'clock for closed session. And I informed them that by being there to have the meeting start at 10 o'clock and then not being allowed to go into closed session, I hear the public comments. And I'm out there with the public, and if it's 11:30, 12 o'clock, 12:30, the public's frustrated, and I don't think it's fair to the public to have them be there or take off from work at 11 o'clock to be able to attend a meeting and then it not start, so they take off more time.
And all you asked them to do was to come on out at 11
And then
and then go back into closed session, but there was absolutely no discussion. It shocked me that there was no discussion about that.
No.
So I don't know if you're going to bring it
But
up
it
again.
was on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting, which
Okay.
is now canceled to set the calendar.
Oh, that's,
for next year's meeting, so I was going to ask that question then. Are we
Great.
gonna take into consideration and rearrange the way it works? Because I think it would be great for the citizens.
yeah, you're right. Too many people are walking out and not knowing what's going on.
So do closed after the open?
Well, no, I suggested that they do closed at 10 o'clock and then get their, whatever they can handle, but at 11 o'clock, be
Come-
done, come out and have the open session meeting so that people can plan for a meeting and know that that's when the meeting's gonna start. And then if they have to go back into closed session afterwards, they do.
Right.
Much like we're
Kinda
doing
like
the
we
closed
used to.
session, yeah. Mhm.
Exactly.
Reasonable.
Do you have anything, Stan, you'd like to add to? Two times.
Actually, twice.
That's,
It's-
yeah.
From when the GAA was going to take the recycled water, and that was sort of payment anew, but once
I don't know
they
what it
decide
is.
They don't want that, then that should have gone away, I think. Also, I was curious, I didn't get a chance to look on the website. Does anybody know whether or not any of the documentation update that was supposed to be done in October actually got put on the website? Has anybody looked?
Do not know.
Has there been a PAC or a TAC meeting
No.
to discuss any of that new information?
I have
Okay.
not seen any, Stan, and I was on last week and I did not see anything new on the GA website. It could be there today.
Okay. Well, it was supposed to be on before November, so well, and I'm kind of curious how they're doing to schedule. Because isn't the, one of those reports is supposed to be, what, January 31? Isn't the 5-year?
Yeah, you're talking about the
January.
sort of the review time that's the review period for the updates to the GSP should be posted. I have not seen them yet or seen any notification that they were posted.
Okay. I'll be interested to see what they actually say.
I will make a note
I
to
will
check
look.
tomorrow.
In addition. Okay, that was all I had.
Okay, anything, Mel?
I was just going to say that the PAC hasn't convened largely because Dave Janis has been indisposed for family health issues. Unlikely. I don't know when he's planning to come back, but Mrs. Decker is the alternate, and I don't know why she hasn't, as active as she's been typically in our meetings here. I'm surprised that she isn't taking.
I think she
any-
stated to us that she was going to take over those meetings because of
Yeah,
David.
I thought
just
it
have
was
did.
a given. that
Yeah, it was
she
a given,
going.
yeah.
But I haven't heard.
Right,
might
if
have
there's
to-
any meetings at all, yeah, I haven't. either.
Don's the only active TAC member.
TAC member,
so
right.
His meetings might be happening. We just don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are.
Well, those should be public meetings, shouldn't they?
They're supposed to be,
It's
yes.
supposed to be.
All right, anybody, anything else? David? That's it?
Yep.
Anything from the public? I see we have a call holding and Mike's going to come up first because he jumped up so fast.
I'm used to it here. Regard to the time of the GSA meeting, this has long been an issue of contention with members of the public who don't appreciate having to go up there in the middle of their day, especially those at work. So if you're going to address the issue, I would ask that you just go ahead and ask them to change the time to 6 in the evening, start closed session at 5, have the meeting at 6, so that people who work don't have to take off work to come into these meetings. They've had that request, I don't know how many times early on, and they just simply ignore it and go on. But if they don't want to change it, perhaps you could ask them to explain why they don't want to change it to make it convenient for the public.
Okay,
Thank you.
and I will bring that up again, Mr. Neal, and I think I've brought it up 2 or 3 times, but I will bring it up again and ask that question. Because I agree with you, it should be in the evening time.
And one other thing you bring up, if you like, considering we can't understand their financials at all, we've been asking for a finance committee forever. And might as well ask again, get on record. Say, when's the finance committee going to start? So we can begin to understand these things. We're putting you on the hot spot and I enjoy it.
You're gonna have me busy.
I know. I'll be talking, yeah, I'll eat dinner before you go up
I don't
there.
usually ask many questions.
I
so.
know. You just sit there and get beat on a bunch. Okay, we have a call holding. Caller, are you there?
Yes, yeah, this is Renee Westelusk. Okay, the reason why I'm a member of the PAC, the reason why we haven't had any meetings is it came from Stetson Engineering, Steve Johnson. I believe he announced it at the last meeting or the meeting before at the GA. And so the reason why the PAC wasn't having any meetings was because they didn't have any assignments for us. It has nothing to do with anybody's health issues.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm also a member of the PAC, and I was told that the PAC was going to get a chance to review the GSP updates as they came available, and that has clearly not happened because that was almost a year ago. That was the one and only PAC meeting. I mean, maybe there were two, and they said, we asked, and great, we'd like to see the GSP updates, and they said they would come through the PAC, and they have not.
I asked that, I believe at the last meeting, or it was the meeting before, about where was the annual whatever they call it, the 5-year review going to be presented for the PAC to go over and the TAC both before it and they said no, they were going to just release it to the public, and that it wasn't going to go through either the PAC or the TAC, because I asked that at one of the GA meetings.
So,
Because I was also led to believe that we were going to review chapters of the 5-year annual review or whatever they call that.
that obviously seems
GSP
odd. What is
update.
Okay,
sort of the
Chuck.
purpose of a PAC and a TAC if you're not going to give them the single most important document that you create for public use to review? So put that on the
Yeah,
record.
Yeah.
that was the intention is, as a board member, was for the PAC and the TAC to review that. So I will definitely ask that question because I think the PAC should review it before it gets sent out to the public.
But you're probably going to get the same answer I got.
I probably will. You're
That's
probably
in
correct.
engineering. But I don't see that it's a big problem, all the
Well, I
people
only
from
see it
the
a problem.
PAC, the PAC and the TAC are already most of the public commenters that ever come to the meetings anyway. So they're going to review it anyway on their own and show up to the public hearings that they're going to have on the, GSP 5-year annual review update, whatever they call that document.
Well, Ms. Wesselis, I want to say I appreciate your involvement and your dedication to you're at every meeting. And I would like for you as a PAC member to have a chance to review it for the public because you have dedicated some time and I think you need to look through it and make your input known before it gets released in case there is something that you notice. So that's just my thoughts.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
It seems to me that whether it's reviewed or not by the PAC should be a board decision, not a Stetson
Correct.
decision. And if the board wants it reviewed, the board should tell Stetson to get it to him to review.
Do you have anything, David? Nope. No, but the point is both the TAC and the PAC are meant there to have public input as much as possible. Yes, Renee's right. A lot of people, public don't show up to them because you never know when the meetings are exactly and what's going to be discussed, but that was the whole idea for them. So I agree, Chuck. If it could, at least Renee can look at it, it'd be great if
Yep.
somebody would, yeah. And George. All right, anything else on this subject? Before we move on to general manager compensation? Nothing for the public?
Adjudication.
I'm sorry, adjudication.
Slide was.
All right, let's go on to, I'm sorry, adjudication. Item D.
I'll give a status of where we are at the adjudication. With respect to the Phase 1 trial, and you will recall that is to quantify the Federal Reserve water right. That is set for April 28th, 2025. Discovery is ongoing. That's where you're able to ask the other parties questions, request that they provide documents and answers, and then ultimately able to take depositions of potential witnesses. All of that is ongoing and working fine. Phase 2 trial is set for March. I don't know the exact date. I apologize, but March of 2026. The pretrial schedule has been set. but the discovery will not begin on the safe yield until shortly after the phase one trial is complete. I believe most people are aware that the GA filed a writ of mandate, call it an appeal, challenging the judge's decision that he was required to have a safe yield trial. There have been amicus briefs filed on both sides. Notably, I believe it was in the paper that the state of California, through the Department of Water Resources and the state board, came out in favor of having the appellate court hear the issue. Now, the writ of petition, this is not the Court of Appeal looking at the merits of the question of whether or not there needs to be a safe yield. Right now, the decision before the Court of Appeals is whether or not they're going to consider this issue. If they do, then there'll be additional extensive briefing by the parties, and I believe that a lot of amicus briefs will be filed on both sides, like there were for the prior appeal. So, state is saying that it needs to be heard. First time they've come out and said something either way, but I can tell you that there's just as many public interest associations that are on the side of the safe yield needs to be determined independently by the court. I will also say that I believe everybody was aware there are 3 or 4 other groundwater adjudications progressing concurrently with the Indian Wells Valley adjudication. And we just received the second ruling of a trial judge on this precise issue. And this is a judge down in the Cuyama Basin, there off of the 166. And that judge ruled consistent with Judge Claster and said that a safe yield trial needs to be held. And he even said to, and there was a motion saying to just go with the GSP. And he said it would be clear error for me to grant this motion. So the judges are clearly, or they're coming in consistently right now. So there's amicus out there, but there's a whole lot still in favor of our petition. So we're waiting for a ruling and hope to have it soon, but it's in their hands. That's all I have in terms of the status.
Thank you, Jim. Any comments or questions from the board?
I have one for Jim. It's the same question I always ask, but I know we're gonna have our model released. The judge asked us for a time. Have we got any word on the Navy's model, if it was gonna be released, so we could look at that?
So nobody has indicated that they will release the model. We've heard for years that it's the GA would tell us it was the Navy's model. The Navy would say it was the GA's model. Nobody wanted to claim the GA model. We've got a witness from the Navy saying that it's not a Navy model. This has been discussed with council, and we are probably going to do a demand for production, requesting the model, and that will bring it to a head.
Okay.
So 30 to 45, 60 days, I'm hoping that maybe we can provide a little bit more clarity along those lines.
Perfect.
That's my answer.
Thank you. Anything else, public? Hearing nothing, then we'll move on to item E, General Manager Compensation. The board just completed the evaluation of George, and contractually, he's entitled to a COLA increase in pay as well as a merit raise based on the evaluation. At this particular time, the general manager has declined any compensation increase, which the board surely appreciates and again appreciates George's service here to the board. It's been a rough first year starting, and I do appreciate it. So, Jim, we don't need to do anything on this. The matter is closed. Is that correct?
No action needed.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments from the board? Any other comments or anything for the public?
I just want to commend George. I think he's done a good job this first year. And I appreciate him seeing where we're at and looking at the employees, and I think it's important. I think it's a huge witness of his character to deny a cost of living and also a merit increase. So I appreciate it, George.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And just to underscore that, had he not pushed back, he would have received both of those
Correct.
from us because
Correct.
we appreciate your actions this year.
Okay.
It's important to mention that he said that it was, he was refusing the increase because we were in middle of a 218 process and
And
they did not want to add to the burdens.
this is a
Of the
closed
board of the
session
public.
item.
Closed session item you're discussing.
It's positive and good for George, but, no, no action needed.
Thank you. I was getting a
I
mallet ready.
concur with everybody except David, who
Talked
is
out of line.
talking out. Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, move on to item F, general manager and staff update.
Okay, water data, October, 176 million
Have fun.
gallons produced, which is a 4% decrease. We produced less water than 2023, but we actually consumed 6% more than we did in 2023. So one of those month-to-month and billing things that happens. We were looking at our combined gallons per capita per day. We 155 gallons capita per day is what I went into that state tool and calculated it, and 25 gallons that is exempt because of its dedicated irrigation meters and other losses. And the cap at 42 gallons per capita per day is back about 147. So you can see that as we get down to that 42 gallons per person per day, which gives us this 147 limit, you know, we're a little bit above it at 155, but 25 of that is exempt, although that will probably change over time as they create new regulations. So once again, just showing that we're still in compliance, even at 42. You know, I continue to look at this and watch the numbers and go through them, but it is close. And, you know, another one of those reasons we need to look at recycled water, because there is a significant increase in our amount of water that we can use in the future as we move forward towards that 2040 deadline.
I have a quick question on water produced. We used to get something, I think Jason, maybe you provided it, where it showed the water production by month and acre feet. And then I think it showed the cumulative for the year. It was a one sheet that you'd shoot to us all the time. I sort of miss that because it's becoming such an issue now. People say, how much is the water district using a year now? And are you-
I still produce that report.
Not that, I'm not talking about,
And I send it to George. I think Dawn in the past used to send it
Yeah,
on to
it's-
y'all, but maybe George, if you can
it's
pass
the
it on, or
simple,
I'll
it's
just
the simple
copy
one.
you.
It's a simple little,
It has it by well and month.
yeah,
and
by
all that.
well, and then a total monthly, and
Yep.
because it's
So-
becoming a question I get. How many acre feet are you producing on a regular, yeah.
I can just.
So-
An
send it
acre
to
feet
her.
is better. I don't need
So-
gallons.
I think in the future, Renee will just send it to all the
I'll
board
send it to
members.
everybody.
She
Yeah.
gets all the credit. She does all the work. It seems bad for me to be sending it out, taking the credit for it. but she does
Jason
all the work.
produces it and,
Okay.
and then I kind of make it pretty and then send it out.
It doesn't need to be pretty, just, but
It's in
But
my
thank you.
monthly safer
Yeah.
report stuff, so.
otherwise, with your monthly report, you send out a safe report is fine, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you. All right, George, I'm sorry, continue.
Okay, no injury reports for October. Conservation, we had 39 conversations, 25 field visits. We locked off 89 people in October due to a delinquent accounts, yet another sign of where the economy is. We can certainly hope that it starts to get better and those numbers go down. And I think Ty said he was going to sort of update me with some additional data, because a lot of those, I guess, we turned them off and they immediately pay, and they turned off for a few hours. Yeah, so we want to, keep the board informed, but, it's one of the tough things we have to do, but we have to, especially in the times when we're looking at 218 processes, understand that there are those marginal people who are just hanging on in the community, and that's a rough thing. So, public outreach, eventually, I guess we're looking forward to the Economic Outlook Conference. If any of the board members have suggestions for meetings that I could attend, public stuff, I'm open to that. We had our special board meeting, trunk or treat. Anybody want to comment on it? I think it went well again this year. I saw like bags and bags and bags of candies in here. I went by there and it was so crowded. It was such a big event. the wife and I, we didn't even stop. We just kind of drove by and I think the whole town was there. It was a great event was what it looked like. And I know we did our part and our people were out there handing out, like I said, they had piles of candy, what I saw in here. We've been updating slowly our webpage, looking for feedback on that. Lots of social media posts on what we're doing. And it's worth noting, in the news media, the GA just, they continue to criticize us and, oh, you should give up. And, all these big entities are lined up against the water board. And, I commend this board, for standing up for what's right and not just caving to the sort of notion that was put out in a recent article that just because all these giant government entities are lined up against you, somehow they're right. Science is science. What you guys have invested in and the work you've put forward and the leadership you've shown in this board, I think is significant and is not worthy of the criticism that's thrown your way in the media. And I certainly would like to see it stop and see this relationship get better and we all work towards, more productive solutions instead of just the, what goes on. So my credit to the board, for doing what's right for the people that live here. And that's my report.
Excuse me, on the transmission line, I know that's a subject.
Yes, there was even something on Facebook today, whether the contractor was gonna finish up and people didn't think they were working. Well, they don't realize, well, the pipe goes underground and then you have to pressure test it and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. So, the first two phases have passed pressure and leak testing and bacteriological testing. And they will start tying in, which means connecting to our system, this week. I'm hoping it'll be this week. Phase 3, the last phase, they did take samples last Friday, so we should be getting the results anytime. And they are still working on an alternative plan to remove where they're gonna put who's hauling it away and where it's gonna go, the old pipe that's sitting on the right of way. So once they get rid of that, then they can do the grading and make Caltrans happy out there. They actually have to possibly do some revegetation out there, so we shall see.
Oh, yeah, they may have to.
But
Yeah.
they did store like what was taken off, so they were planning on just spreading that back, which should have the seeds in for the native plants that were there, and hopefully Caltrans will be happy with that.
You
And
get-
they'll all grow back.
Do we have an estimated timeline when you'll be able to say it's done?
Well, it just depends on, their schedule is before Thanksgiving, so in the next few
Oh.
weeks.
Okay.
But hopefully there won't be too much of a delay in getting rid of the old pipe off.
That's the biggest thing, get rid of old pipes so they
Yes.
can finish their grading.
Yes.
I kept thinking end of year before everything.
No, it'll be before.
Sooner that? Okay.
Yeah. As far as the project being, done.
Okay.
The
Before,
water, the water will be done by roughly Thanksgiving. And the
Right.
remediation is going to take a little bit longer.
Then it'll be passed over to us, and I know our staff has things that they want to do, before they actually start pumping the well water into the
Okay.
pipeline and using it.
All
So,
right, so I got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
how old is that pipe that they took that's laying there? That's been there 50 years?
1992.
Okay. I thought maybe
30.
lop off little sections of it and sell it to the public as a, have it engraved with Water District.
Wasn't that old? Unfortunately, should have lasted longer.
I know. Okay. Are there any, I'm gonna ask for comments on this one because I know Renee had one, but I don't see that she's.
I think I answered her question.
It must answer her question. Okay.
She's holding.
Is she holding? Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Caller? Are you there?
Yes, I wanted to know, when are you gonna be putting water through it?
Well, there has been water through it, because we had to disinfect and flush and all that. But as far as utilizing it for our system,
Right.
it may be, I don't know, after the new year possibly, Jason, or in December sometime. you think?
Once the contractor is done and hands it over to us, we are going to flush it ourselves, try to do a more high volume flushing. We'll take our own bacteriological sampling and when everything comes back and we're assured that it's clean to our standards, we'll then put it online. So hopefully by the end of the year.
And I think Ron had wanted us to sort of just let the public know that they might see some water. I think you were going to tell them exactly where that was when we do the flushing.
Yeah, it'll be on the wash that's just east of the intermediate tanks.
Yeah, just,
Those are the Navy tanks, yeah.
yeah. So just so the public knows that, it's terrible to waste water, but It would be worse to put bad water into a pipe into our system. So we do what we have to do to make sure the water is perfectly great, potable for everybody to drink.
Did that answer your question, Renee? Renee, did that answer your question?
She already muted herself again.
What's that?
She already muted herself again.
Oh, she's muted? You're muted.
Evidently, we answered her question.
Evidently, we answered the question. Okay. With that then, I guess we'll move on to, where are we here? Water system
Number 4.
consolidations.
All right, so we have signed contracts with the state for both Hometown and Dune 3. I didn't realize last week that George had also signed the Dune 3 contract. But evidently he did. I found out from the state that he'd signed it. He's just so busy, he forgets.
Oops.
That's okay. I will be getting an update. I'll have a meeting next week with all the Dune 3 people, and then usually we hang on and I talk to the state rep also about Hometown, so I should get another update. But we do need, I believe, still to sign contracts between the district and each water system. And also they're waiting on, I think Jim's gonna have it ready tomorrow, which is an legal opinion letter. So we're just kind of, dotting i's, crossing the t's, getting all the legal stuff done, but I don't expect either of those projects to start until after the new year, probably in the spring, especially Dune 3, because that has to be bid out. Yeah, whereas Hometown's gonna be done in-house.
Okay.
Rademacher, as you know, we signed our agreement with the GA. Phase 2 design is progressing, and we expect to start that one after the new year. We're really hoping that we can do both phases at the same time, and we can do both tie-ins to the Springer line at the same time, drop those Ts, because we don't want to take that pipeline out of service more than we have to. Do the one time, drop both Ts there at Gordon and at Rademacher. So.
Okay. All right.
In your current CSD, I don't think there's much to say except just waiting to hear how the state's gonna proceed. Unless George wants to say anything else.
Okay.
Look like from
comments?
the election, they have a new board out there and we wish them the best.
I guess we'll just wait to hear.
Yeah.
We're just in a holding pattern for what the state decides they're gonna do. And I'm sure we'll hear, right?
Some point, yes.
At some point, okay.
Right, so just wanted to reiterate for the public that the reason it's on our agenda is because the state could force consolidation. We're hoping that they won't. We would prefer to see the Indian Community Services District get back on its feet.
Absolutely.
Did I read correctly in some document that there was supposed to be like a 6-month period for negotiations and discussions about any consolidation, any forced consolidation? Was that part of one of the documents, Chubb, you said? That there would be, before they made an actual requirement for forced?
Well, I don't recall seeing a 6-month period. That there's 6 months that they have to negotiate with us. I will say that we've been proactive in trying to advise the state board, Kern LAFCO, as to the status and everything like that, so we don't get in a position where it is just forced on us. So, but I'm not aware of
That's
any.
what I'm concerned about is that it just doesn't happen and it's a done deal before we have a chance to actually discuss and understand what it is.
I think it's fair to say, I heard what David said about, wanting in Kern, and we're aware of that. But we're still working with them because the state's decision.
And they move very slowly.
Very slowly until you want them to.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Any other comments or questions about the water system consolidations? Anything in the public? Hearing nothing. Financial status.
Okay, through October, we have revenues of 5.8 million, which is 156,000 over budget, better than budget. On the expenditure side, we have 6.6 million, which is 400,000 over budget. Our net right now is a negative 787,000, which is 244,000 worse than budget. The big discrepancies there is being the GA fees. There's a timing issue from when we pay them to when we actually receive the revenue to cover it. Usually we're off by
Okay.
30 days or so. Capital expenditures to date, 4.7 million. The lion's share of that is that Northwest Transmission line, and it's coming from the state grant as well as bond funds. 374,000 for debt service principal, and then total paid to the GA to date, $16,430,223.
All right. Any comments on this?
That's both the pumping fee and the replenishment fee combined.
Right, replenishment fee is almost 13.5 million.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ty, I think that you also went ahead and got a report from S&P about the status of the water
Right,
district in
right.
terms of,
Currently, our bond rating is at an A+,
okay,
which is good.
all right.
The concerns we have is maintaining that. So if we have to future bonding or whatever, we have that rating in place. And that is also what drives us to look at the Prop 218 and the rate study to make sure we have our debt service coverage ratio in place, as well as the needed funding to maintain that A+.
I saw both the cover letter from them, which sort of summates everything, and then the report. Is that a public thing that could just be put on our website?
Yeah, that's public. Yeah.
I think
I'll put it on
I'd
there.
like to see it on. I think people can get a good look at it and see that we're financially sound. I think it's important. Thank you, Ty.
I noticed what Ty mentioned at the GSA fees. The last month, it turns out we were better than budget by $600,000, and this year we were behind budget by $250,000, and it looks like 99% of it is the GSA fees. Are we expecting that to average out over the next few months? So that-
It should. Unfortunately, my algorithm for the GSA fees budget isn't playing well right now. So I have some work on that because we did change the schedule on how we pay the GA fees. Not strictly averaged out over the year, but based on when we actually pump the tier 2 water. So I have some work to do on that algorithm for that budget.
Okay. Is it fair to say, though, that if the GSA fees were not sort of out of sync the way they are, that we would still be better than budget by several $100,000?
Would be probably better than budget by, yeah, 300,000 or 400,000.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Anything from the public? All right, thank you, Ty. Conservation, item F6.
Yeah, for calendar year 2024, we have had 15 water waste reports received, 15 contacts made, 2 formal warnings issued, and 1 penalty issued.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, arsenic treatment facility.
So the plants are currently being winterized, and so they'll be offline for the remainder of the winter season. And that allows us the opportunity to do the media at plant 2.
Okay. So when it's time to start them up again, we'll be ready to go.
We will
Have both plans.
hopefully have both plants at full operation.
Great.
I think there's a lot of credit to be put out here, having made it through the summer without the Northwest Transmission Line operational.
It
With-
required a tremendous amount of effort and babysitting by the water supply department, looking at the SCADA system almost around the clock.
Yeah, it was, what those guys did was, amazing, a lot of constraints. One of the systems was offline, you can't take things offline because if you take it offline to fix it, it's going to cause outages, and wow, what an amazing job by you guys this year. It was fantastic to see you get through. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Just call her on.
All right. Operations.
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh, I do. Yes, Renee.
Yeah, all right. It seemed like there was I don't know what the media in the arsenic, because I need to learn about the arsenic treatment plants, how they work, but you couldn't procure the right media. You always talked about this media. It's some kind of, I assume, filter. And we didn't really have any arsenic treatment plant that was really fully operational, I think, until August. Because one was operating at half capacity because you didn't have the other one available at full capacity because you had no media, and you said whatever's the supplier took forever getting you the correct media to put in the system. And so what I want to know is there going to be a supply chain issue again this coming year and every year after in supplying the arsenic treatment plants with the specialized media substance that you have to put inside the treatment plants?
So the media should last 10 years before it breaks down. There was an issue with procuring the media. The mine that they normally use shut down, so they had to find another mine. But we do have a reserve amount on hand for taking care of year-to-year operations, and we'll be looking at ordering new media before the decade is over, and we'll be well ahead of that.
Are you going to start years ahead ordering it? Because it sounds like you might have to do that.
Yeah, we'll evaluate it when the time comes, probably in 8 years or so, or, I mean, as the situation demands, we'll look at it.
Okay, so this coming season, then, there's going to be both arsenic plants operational?
That's the plan.
Do you just run one at a time?
During our normal operations, we run one plant every other week.
And so then you take one off and then put the other one on?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Okay, operations?
So for the month of October, we had 22 replacements and 28 repairs. No DES ran one time. It's back in service, filtering 8,500 gallons, bringing our grand total to just under 9.5 million gallons saved. And we were able to turn 7 valves, bringing our grand total for the year to 245. And the new GIS system is working really well with operations, and we are currently running testing on the water supply department with the GIS system, trying to get everything on the one system.
Right.
And to go along with operations, we received our first 500 ultrasonic meters for the Ridgecrest Heights area
Oh,
today.
great.
The other 1,000 should be here tomorrow.
All right, you'll have them all installed by Christmas?
Yeah, well, we'll start with Renee's, so she's not getting away with.
Yeah.
Not Renee West Alaska, I mean.
Yeah, I see. I saw her laughing over there. Stay away from mine. I'm just kidding.
Give it a call.
All right. Are we still, okay, caller's gone? Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions on the general managers and staff updates? All right, hearing none, I'll move on to board comments and future agenda items. Yes, sir. We'll start to my right.
I don't have any future agenda items on mine, but I did want to point out, or thank you to the staff and the GM for the performance in the past few months have been exemplary. I mean, I had hopes, but I didn't have high expectations that the pipeline would go as smoothly as it has. That's been very impressive. And yeah, thanks to all you guys for keeping it on track.
All right, Stan?
I would like to thank George for sticking around for the last year. Appreciate him not leaving and continuing his service over at least one more year.
Oh my God, this is the funnest job I've ever had.
You ain't seen nothing yet. David?
I do have a comment, and it's regarding the arsenic plants. It is, I can't emphasize enough how important it is that following the surprise loss of the media source, they were able to find a new source and get everything up and running and still keep the city involved with, keeping the city with a sufficient water to operate without cutbacks or shutoffs, even though that important source of water and the water that came down the Northwest Transmission Line were no longer available. And it's a topic that came up a couple of times at the Emergency Services Committee meeting. It was of grave concern for both the operation of the city and ultimately the mission at China Lake. And the fact that you know how long the media is going to last, and you have plans to get new media before the media runs out, and that you're going to have reserve media, so you have cushion, is outstanding. And I would like to say that it was not unusual that an organization planned that far ahead, but it is unusual, and it is absolutely a reflection on your professionalism and your foresight and your planning to do that. And I compliment you. I can't think of a better way to say it. Well done.
Thank you. Chuck?
I don't think I can follow David, but.
No.
I just want to say, thank you to the staff. And if you guys will pass this on to the people out back and into the front office, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your families because you never know when they're going to go. So make every day important with them and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I have one thing that I want to make sure is on the future agenda item, and that is the appointment of the new president and vice president. I think that goes without saying. That's a December item. And then also I'd like to reiterate what the board members have said about the staff, the professionalism, the ability to plan ahead, to keeping our ratepayers and with the proper water supply necessary and clean water supply. I mean, I can't say enough for them. And I do want to end with, again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you all enjoy your holidays and don't eat too much. And don't forget to cheer on Notre Dame and the Bears. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I know. With that, is there any other comments before I close the meeting? With that, we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:09. Thank you.
This is